Hi, this is Susan from Susan B. Cards. Today I'm going to show you a different way of using a BetterPress plate. I have the March 2025 BetterPress Plate of the Month, which is called Quilted Memories. Right now it's available as part of a club. You can join the club and quit at any time. It's really easy to do, or you can wait until the following month and just buy this individually at a higher price. This one looks like a quilt with flowers on it, and it comes with 2 sentiment plates that say, "Just because I care and you're a true friend." So the BetterPress plate was made for the BetterPress system, and you would put this onto the platform, and you would use some BetterPress ink or whatever ink you have, and you would completely ink up the plate. You'd put a piece of paper, you tape a piece of paper onto here, and then you would run the entire thing through your die cutting machine. So that would be the traditional way of using the BetterPress plate. Here's an example of one that I made using ink and the BetterPress system. And I just used 3 different colors: blue, I think this is orange, and a yellow of archival ink. And I just put the ink on the plate, ran it through, and this is what you get. The ink is pressed into the paper, and then you get this. And then I would trim this down, and I would make a card out of it. So this would be the traditional way of using it. Another way you can use it, and there's lots of examples of this, where people use the Giimmer hot foil machine, and you don't use any ink. You would put this, you would heat this up on the Giimmer hot foil system, then put a piece of Giimmer hot foil on top of it, and then run it through the die cutting machine, and you would get something like this. So this one is metallic cardstock, and I use black hot foil, and it pressed the hot foil into the paper. So this one has a little bit more texture that you can actually feel, maybe because it's metallic paper, but you could use it on any kind of paper. So that's a really nice look too. So there's no ink on this, just Giimmer hot foil. I saw a Jennifer McGuire video about using the BetterPress plate and a silicone mat and embossing your paper. I started thinking about it, and I wanted to combine 2 things: putting ink onto the plate and embossing it. So I have my Sizzix Big Shot and my multi-purpose platform, and it's set on 1, which is made for embossing. And then I would put my bottom plate. Now I'm using a magic mat, but you can just use a regular plate like this. I've just been using this magic mat because I found that it doesn't warp as much as my regular plate does. So this would be the bottom plate, the silicone mat, and then a piece of cardstock. This is just some, I think it's 65-pound metallic, but I've used all different types of paper, and it all works the same. I'm going to put that down. So I'm just inking up the plate as I normally would. Okay, that should be good enough. And then carefully just flipping this over. Try not to get ink on my hand. Put this face down onto the cardstock. And then I'm going to put the top plate. And then I'm just going to run it through my machine. Now the silicone mat lets you emboss a die or this plate, and it doesn't cut because it's rubberized, so it won't cut the paper. So here you go. I think this comes out pretty nice. You can also do this without the ink, and I'll show you some examples of that as well. But every example that I used for embossing, this is a sandwich that I use. Number one on my multi-purpose platform, a bottom plate, a silicone mat, a piece of cardstock, the BetterPress plate on top of it, face down, and then the top plate, and then I run it through. And there you go. So if you don't want to use ink, you don't have to. So you could just use the sandwich that I just showed you with a BetterPress plate and no ink. And this is what you would get. Still an impression, but same paper with ink. I'm not sure if you can really see that, but when you see it up close, you can see that the ink is pushed in here. And I just think it helps define the image. You certainly don't have to do it. It looks really nice without the ink, and maybe just a tiny bit more subtle. So here's the one that I made before. Both of these have ink and are embossed. And then I have two here, and these are wrapping paper. I took some inexpensive gold wrapping paper, and instead of cardstock, I used the wrapping paper. This wrapping paper I happened to get, it was on a roll from Michael's. And it's pretty thin, but it's still embossed paper beautifully. So I did this one two different ways. One where I put the gold paper down face up on the mat like this. And then I put the plate on top of it, ran it through, no ink. And this is the image that I got. But then I thought about, it'd be kind of cool to do it backwards. So rather than putting the gold paper face up, I put it face down and the back is white and ran it through. And so I just got a different type of embossing. This one here, you can see it's puffed up, and this one is recessed. So I just thought it was a different way to do it, use it. And I kind of liked it because it was a little bit easier to put die cuts on top and glue them on, because I didn't have all the puffy areas. Just something else to do. So this is backwards, and neither of those have ink. I thought it'd be good to just show you how I did the wrapping paper. So this is a wrapping paper, which is white on one side and metallic on the other. I put it onto the platform and then put the press plate right on top of the white side. And then I'm just going to feed that through, and you'll see what the impression looks like. Just so you know, the cracking sound is just the sound of the paper embossing. Now I'm going to show you the other side of the paper, gold side facing up, facing the plate, and I'm going to run that through. I only rolled it through one time this time, and the impression is still really good. The paper is very thin. Later, I'll go back and trim it down to an A2 size card. And I have a couple more here. These two are wrapping paper again, and it's a different plate. This one is a floral. And again, I'll link it in the description. But here, this one has black ink pressed into the paper. And this one is pressed from the back again. So the areas that are raised here are now recessed here. Now, I did want to show this paper is thin, and it does rip fairly easily. So that is one drawback to using wrapping paper. It is thin, and it's, not as sturdy as the cardstock. This was, really easy to do. So I just thought this was a nice, inexpensive alternative if you wanted to try it. You happen to have some solid color wrapping paper. So this one is just a piece of cardstock that I tried. It's a real pretty metallic cardstock. And what I did here was I put the plate through onto the paper, and then I looked at both sides. So, you know, you can see, you could use either side. On this side, I took a black pad and just rubbed it over the top just to see if it could be defined a little bit more. And then I wanted to see on the back too, so I took the same black pad and just lightly rubbed it over the top. So this would be all the same. And in this case, you know, because the paper is two-sided, not like the wrapping paper, which is metallic on one side and white on the other, you can do it either way. Decide what you like. I didn't particularly like the black pad rubbed over the top of the paper, but, you know, maybe a different design would be better. But I did also want to say that looking at these two, this one is actually easier to see. I think that the design isn't quite as detailed as the one with the floral. There's lots of lines, there's lots of leaves in here, and I think it's a little bit harder for your eye to focus on what it is. I mean, it's still pretty, and I think you can see it a little bit easier with the ink. But with this one, because it's just a design with not too many details, I think that you can see it a lot better. And then I took some paste to see how it would look to BetterPress the paste and how they would work. So again, this is using the silicone mat and embossing the paper. So I took some mixed media paper. This one is by scrapbook.com. And I have this pad of black. I took the solar paste and I put it on the paper and let it dry completely. You have to let it dry because you don't want to get the paste onto your BetterPress plate. So after it dried, I then inked up the plate and put it through the Big Shot. And this is what you get. I think it's really pretty. I think especially this green, I could see maybe just doing 2 colors or just one, all green. I just think that that's really, really pretty. Both these are on black. I have a bunch of videos on my channel using solar paste and lunar paste and embossing them with a 3D embossing folder. So that's where I got this idea from. I did have this one last sample. This is what I originally tried this out on. This is just a scrap that I had of black paper, and I had put some solar paste, and this is actually gold lunar paste. And then I wanted to see what it would look like just embossed. So without ink, this is what it looks like. And then with ink, it's like this. You can see how much more defined it is with the ink. But, you know, this is pretty too if I would have done this on a full piece of paper. So this is actually some Sizzix. Let me see if I could find it. So this was just plain black right here. And it had embossed this image on it, but you couldn't see it very well. So I took some of this Sizzix Luster Wax, and it's silver. And then I just put it on my finger. And then I just rubbed it on here. Let's see. It makes the image pop up. So that's pretty too. I mean, I'm sure there's different kinds of waxes that you can put on with your finger or with a tool and get another look. I wanted to show you another technique. Even though I use the black ink on this foil, the foil is a little bit shiny, and I remembered what I did, which I forgot to mention on one of my cards. On this one, it was actually shiny, and I took some black acrylic paint. This is just inexpensive black acrylic paint, probably from Michael's, and I just rubbed it on top of the foil. So I'm going to do that right now and show you how to kind of age the foil using paint. So you just put a little bit of this on. You don't need too much. So, okay, see, I'm just gonna put a little bit of water just to help that thin out a little bit. And then just rub this into the panel. Okay, so that looks pretty bad, but hold on. Just slightly miss another clean paper towel. And then just lightly rub it off. It takes away some of the shine, and then it puts the black paint into the recessed areas to really make it stand out. I think it gives a little bit more of a vintage look. And I forgot that I did that on my first card, so I did want to show how to do that as well. This is a nice way to age your paper just a little bit, keep it from looking so shiny, which kind of makes it look a little bit richer too, I think. So that's another idea. This is just regular BetterPress. This is the Giimmer hot foil. More samples. I think this is probably my favorite way of just embossing it on metallic cardstock. I think that came out really nice. But lots of samples, lots of ideas, different ways to use it. So you should try it out. I think it's a lot of fun. And even if you don't have the BetterPress system or the Giimmer hot foil, and you happen to have a couple of these, you could just try embossing it. Just use one of these flexible silicone mats in your machine, and you're ready to go. So thanks for watching today. You can see my samples, and I'll have the photos and how I made each one on my blog at susanbcards.blogspot.com. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.